Hi, everyone, and welcome to an episode of Trident Talks. Super excited about this one. We have Paul and Justin from Validia. Guys, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.
So, as you can see, there's actually 4 of us on the call. Guys, can you just explain like ID authentication, what you guys are about, and then we'll go into some kind of intros. But firstly, can we get this other square on the page? What is this about?
Yeah, definitely. So what we're doing at Validia is identity authentication in real time in these virtual workplaces. When COVID and the pandemic occurred, a majority of organizations moved mainly virtual or moved a big chunk of their workforce virtual. And with no security mechanisms for who's in your calls or who you're talking to. And so we built Validia to protect organizations and know who they're talking to in real time by both their voice and their video. And in this scenario here, I'm actually a deep fake of Josh Keeley in this scenario with a live face mask that I'm utilizing here.
So I've got your hair and my face. Your facial hair is creeping me out.
It creeps through these deep fakes. They're interesting. The technology is constantly getting better, but there's still small pieces with some of these live deep fakes where it maps to the person's face. So some of the artifacts from that original person's face show through.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Can we do some quick introductions? So, Paul, do you want to start and just kind of give us a background on your career?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Paul. I'm the CTO and co-founder here at Validia, and I've been in the cybersecurity space for 10 years now. Got started super young, started speaking at cybersecurity conferences when I was 12, and I've been in the industry ever since. I'd like to say I followed a path of emerging technology, starting with threat intelligence, a lot of threat research, moving on to threat hunting, EDR, XDR, and much more recently with how much AI has been impacting the cyberspace, a big focus on AI as well.
Awesome. Justin?
Yeah, on my end, I previously worked in venture capital at Stepstone Group before getting an opportunity in the blockchain industry at a legacy payments company, which is Visa. And Paul and I reconnected when Paul came to speak at RSA in 2023 around the threats of large language models being utilized by bad actors to make them more talented, which is something we never want to happen. But in general, that's sort of the origin story. We started looking at the space. Kind of hypothesizing around, what are the next, verticals or attack vectors that, bad actors are going to utilize. And frankly, as we can see here, it's pretty seamless, right? If you're in a comfortable environment, you're speaking with someone who you think you recognize, we're able to do, voice changing in real time as well. The technology is frankly too good to really distinguish. And while it's great right now, it'll only be better tomorrow. And bad actors are realizing this. So we put together Validia to help prevent this from happening and help protect companies against these next generation attacks.
Nice, awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for the intros. So,
of course,
let's talk about some actual use cases and some kind of the challenges that you're solving, right? So, I'm a CISO. Are you targeting enterprise or mid-market? Does it matter? Because everyone's a target, but.
Yeah, I'd say, anywhere, our plan started at 50 individuals. In general, though, the tool works better at scale, right? When I was at Visa, I used to talk to people that I would never talk to after that one interaction, or, would talk to them a couple times more after that, right? There's huge organizations, distributed workforces and global workforces, just make it really hard to ensure the integrity of all your employees. And being in those environments, you're really comfortable, right? You're almost lulled to sleep a little bit. This is why people have phishing, tests in general. You're in these comfortable environments. You're not expecting this stuff. And frankly, for someone to come on a call, sound exactly like the individual you're supposed to be talking with, matches up with their team's photo, it's pretty convincing. So we really can scale anywhere from 50 employees to 5,000 employees, 5,000 employees plus. So yeah, that's the general scale.
Nice. And I'm guessing like you must have some numbers around like the impact of this type of attack. Like let's specifically talk about deepfakes and like there's plenty of like news articles around impersonating CFOs to pay this invoice, and it was so convincing. It was on a video call. There's a very famous one in the Far East, right? Last year I think. But there must be some crazy numbers behind these scams.
Yeah, Paul, do you want to take that one? I think in general, the the one incident that you're referring to is the Hong Kong, $25 million right away. But the other, ones in question, I think more recently, the CEO of Wiz, there was recently phishing attempts on his employees utilizing his voice in general.
Wow.
And I think one of the big numbers that really does stand out in general. So like in a hypothetical scenario, if this phishing attempt on Wiz's CEO would work, on average, companies lose around $130,000 per social engineering attack. And as you can imagine, right, this is for one instance. If there are multiple people that have been targeted and it actually works on these individuals, we're talking, anywhere from 130,000 on average to, losing, invaluable IP.
Yep.
Anywhere up to $9 million per average breach event. The scale really varies. But in general, if you are going to utilize these techniques, someone is after something, whether it's significantly large amounts of money or significant, amounts of IP or the ability to actually exist and live within your infrastructure, which can cause, tens of millions of dollars worth of damages.
Paul's got the numbers.
The one thing I like to compare it to or like associate it with is the MGM ransomware attack from last year. The MGM ransomware attack, while it did not leverage a deep fake, it leveraged a phone call to the IT help desk to change octacodes. And that ended up resulting in one of the largest, if not the largest, cybersecurity attack of last year. And so I think that comparing deepfakes is appropriate here because deepfakes are just now a more advanced method for executing that attack or getting within that organization in the first place. And as Justin hit on, once you have somebody that's an adversary within your organization, the damages are unmeasurable, frankly.
Yeah, I think also like I'm the average person, let's say, that's viewing this product. I see it. I'm thinking of like, oh, how much money would a CFO ask an AP to pay or whatever, a finance control? It's not always just that, like we said, Justin. It's actually it could be IP. It could be, hey, could you just send me that bunch of code that you've just been writing, or could you send me that HR document? Or it's not necessarily just sending invoices, is it?
No,
yeah.
It can be a pretty wide variety of things. Again, when you're working with deepfakes, you're talking to other people, and at the end of the day, if you can convince someone that you are someone that they trust, you can probably convince them to do anything. It falls on the security side, it falls on the wire fraud side. Pretty much anything that an adversary would want to do in an organization, they can find a way to leverage audio and video deepfakes to convince someone to do so. Because again, it's really a trust issue. When someone looks at the camera and doesn't recognize that there's a deepfake, which is really, really hard to do as it is, they're going to trust that individual and think that they're having another day-to-day interaction. And that's really the toughest part of it.
Totally agree. So if I'm a CISO watching this video, how does it actually work? So if I'm all my employees, let's say I've got 1,000 staff, how does this actually work?
Yeah, absolutely. So the approach that we built for this live identity authentication relies on a very small amount of biometrics for each employee or individual within an organization. We've set up this process to be as streamlined as possible. You can connect your HR platform and import badge photos. You can connect your HR platform and just invite employees to go through our onboarding process. Our onboarding process takes 45 seconds. A user gets on, looks at the camera. We grab 3 images of their face and 15 to 30 seconds of their voice, and they are now officially onboarded to the platform. And putting it into meetings and performing the authentications is even easier. We offer integrations with Google Calendar and Outlook Calendar, where you can automatically import meetings that you'd like to have that identity authentication. Our bot will join the call. It will automatically pull video and audio feeds, and it will give you all of the results in a formatted in-meeting dashboard that all users within the call have access to. So it's very easy to set up. The onboarding process is extremely simple, and we've created a ton of integrations just to make this process even easier. And then again, it's a multi-platform bot. We instantly work on any of the video conferencing platforms that enterprises use on a day-to-day basis.
Nice. So let's use this as a live example. If I would have set up this call with you guys and you joined and you tried to join in with obviously the deepfake of me, what would I have received or seen, or what would have been a notification and alert?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few things. First of all, in the chat, the bot sends an in-meeting dashboard. Any user in the call can click on this, and it has a badge for every single user that we're able to see in the call. Anyone who has their video or audio turned on in any capacity, we will get this badge for. Now, what you'll see is we have an identity authentication check and a liveness check for each individual. The identity authentication says that that person matches an identity and they are actually that person. And liveness says there's actually a real person. This isn't just a video or someone holding up a picture of somebody on a phone, for example. So that's the first way, is you can go to that in-meeting dashboard, see that this Josh Keeley has not been verified, and then instantly know that there's some issue there. Separately, though, we can also integrate with Slack and can send Slack alerts directly to the security teams of an organization or people already in the call. And we also have the capacity to send messages directly to the host of the meeting, indicating that someone was not verified and they did not complete their form of multi-factor when they were not verified.
Nice. Okay. And then as a CISO, do I pay like budget? I'm thinking budget. Do I pay per user, per license, how's it work?
Yeah, so it's per user per month. The way that, the comparable or the comparables that we like to use, it's, very comparable with Okta or another identity access management provider, or 2FA provider, sorry. That's really where we see it kind of trending in general. Like, people hate 2FA, but right now I think our focus is on, really defending against this advanced social engineering technique that is becoming so prevalent. But in general, I think what we realize is we built this deepfake prevention solution, but we did it kind of backwards, right? We did it in a way that we're actually doing identity authentication in order to prevent these types of attacks from successfully working. And that's not to say we built very clear mechanisms to very much defend against that exact use case because of the prevalence. But in general, the underlying value here is we're able to perform continuous identity authentication for your employees in a privacy-centric way.
Nice. And you talk about voice. Just the last point here is around the product. It can be used when I'm on my mobile phone, and like, how does that work?
So today voice works directly in the video conferencing platform. However, we are building some extensions for it to work outside of it. One of the hardest things in this space about, connecting to a phone call, for example, is the phone providers don't want or won't provide access to connect there. Tools like WhatsApp are the same way, which kind of makes them that haven for adversaries, unfortunately. But however, the way that we've gone about this is we saw two ways to go about it. There was either we could build our own app that was separate, and we think that's too much friction for the end user, or we could build something standalone that's able to somehow retrieve audio and perform these verifications. And so we're actually building right now what we call Live Listen, or what I like to refer to as the Shazam for fraud. If you ever use Shazam for figuring out what song you're listening to, we've built a very similar feature where you can receive a phone call. If you think it's suspicious, you put your phone on speaker, click a button on any device that's near you, whether it be a desktop or another phone, and we are able to listen in on that audio, perform that verification within 10 to 15 seconds, and alert you if that is the person that you believe it to be. So we are working on ways to do it outside of that video conferencing scenario, but trying to hit on video conferencing so we can hit on both that video and audio aspect there.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. All right, guys. So for anyone listening, how do we get through to you? How do we get hold of you? We'll put the details in the links.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to reach us on our website. You can book a time with a real person, as we like to say. But our emails are also for our first names, Justin and Paul at Validia.ai.
Awesome. Well, look, mega impressed with what you built. I saw you guys present at the Data Tribe Challenge last week in DC. Like, presented so well, and I know you got fired with Q&A by a really good judging panel, so held yourselves really well. Good luck with building the company. Look forward to see how it grows and see where it ends up.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.